There is a place on this earth where the inhabitants will kill you on sight. This is not a guess. It is a fact proven by experience. The place is an island, a small green jewel set in the turquoise waters of the Andaman Sea. It is called North Sentinel Island. And the people who live there are the Sentinelese. They are one of the last human groups to remain almost entirely untouched by the modern world. They live as their ancestors might have lived thousands of years ago, without metal tools, without electricity, without the internet. They hunt with bows and arrows. They gather what the forest provides. They fish in the shallow reefs that surround their home. Their isolation is not an accident of geography. It is a choice. They have actively and violently rejected every attempt at contact. To them, we are the outsiders, we are the danger. Our boats are strange intrusions, our helicopters are noisy monsters in the sky. Their response has been consistent for centuries. An arrow is knocked, a bow is drawn. The message is clear and requires no translation. Stay away. This fierce defense of their home has kept their world separate from ours, creating a human mystery that persists in an age where every other corner of the globe has been mapped, photographed, and explored. We know almost nothing about them. We do not know their language. We do not understand their beliefs or their social structure. Are they a single tribe? Do they have a leader? How many of them are there? Estimates range from as few as 50 to perhaps a few hundred. Their existence is a whisper, a collection of distant sightings and tragic encounters. They are a people defined not by what we know, but by what we do not. They are a living link to a past that the rest of humanity has long since left behind, a stark reminder of a different way of being human. This isolation is profound. It is deeper than any monk's retreat or any hermit's cabin. It is the isolation of an entire people, a collective turning of their backs on the rest of the planet. They have seen our world from a distance, and they have likely seen the contrails of jets high above them and the distant lights of cargo ships on the horizon at night, yet they have chosen to remain apart. And this decision, enforced with spears and arrows, has made their small island one of the most enigmatic and dangerous places in the world. For the Sentinelese, the outside world is not a promise of progress. It is a threat to be met with lethal force. The Indian government has drawn a line in the water. A law forbids anyone from approaching within 5 nautical miles of North Sentinel Island. This exclusion zone is not just a suggestion, it is a strict prohibition. Patrol boats monitor the surrounding sea. The purpose of this law is twofold. First, it is to protect outsiders from the predictable hostility of the Sentinelese. The islanders have made it abundantly clear that they do not welcome visitors. Ignoring this warning has proven fatal, and the 5-mile buffer is a practical measure to prevent violent confrontations and to save lives. And the more critical reason is to protect the Sentinelese themselves. For millennia, their isolation has been their shield. It kept them safe from foreign cultures and from foreign pathogens. The rest of humanity built up immunities to many diseases over centuries: common cold, influenza, measles, smallpox. We carry these germs often without knowing, and can unexpose the Magustan population. These illnesses could be catastrophic, like a single sneeze could unleash a plague. History shows grim examples when isolated people meet outsiders. European arrival in the Americas triggered epidemics that wiped out roughly 90% of indigenous people. Germs, not guns, were the most effective conquerors. The Sentinelese have no defense against these invisible invaders. Their immune systems are a blank slate. Contact would almost certainly introduce diseases that spread fast and deadly. The 5-mile rule is a quarantine, a shield to preserve them. Leaving them alone is not neglect. It's profound respect and survival. The danger is biological certainty. Wanting to study or help is outweighed by the risk of destroying them. The Indian government's policy recognizes this fragile reality and prioritizes preservation. Their world is balanced on a knife's edge. The slightest touch could send it tumbling into oblivion. The history of contact with North Sentinel Island is a short and tragic one. Each chapter ends the same way, with failure and often with death. One of the earliest documented attempts occurred in the late 19th century during British colonial rule in India. In 1880, a Royal Navy officer named Maurice Vidal Portman led an armed expedition onto the island. His goal was to make friendly contact, but his methods were rooted in the arrogance of the era. His party scoured the jungle for days, finding only recently abandoned villages. The Sentinelese, it seemed, had melted away into the forest at their approach. Eventually, Portman's men captured an elderly man, an elderly woman, and 4 children. They were taken by force to Port Blair. The elders quickly fell ill and died. Fearing a greater tragedy, Portman returned the children, leaving them on the beach with gifts, and retreated. It is unknown what became of them, but the encounter surely cemented the tribe's perception of outsiders, and as kidnappers and bringers of death for more than a century, the island remained largely undisturbed. Then, in November 2018, the story repeated itself, this time driven by religious fervor, while years earlier, tsunami had shown another truth. Catastrophe tests survival. A young American missionary named John Allen Chau believed it was his calling to bring Christianity to the Sentinelese. Knowing it was illegal and dangerous, he paid fishermen, paddled in with small gifts and a Bible. His approaches were met with arrows. He wrote one, struck his Bible. He returned. It was his final visit. Witnesses later saw his body dragged and buried in the sand. His death sparked debate about missionary work, tourism, and the rights of uncontacted peoples, a stark reaffirmation of their desire to be left alone. After the 2004 tsunami, a helicopter carrying searched for survivors or to drop aid from the beach. A lone man drew his bow and fired. It was defiance. It was a declaration. It meant, we are still here. We do not need your help. We are survivors, reading animals in the sea. They moved to higher ground and endured using only ancestral knowledge and skills. They did not need our warnings. They did not need our technology. They did not need our aid. They had everything they needed within their own world. This profound self-sufficiency forces us to reconsider our definitions of progress and civilization. They are a people apart, a living culture that exists outside of our history. The clearest lesson is that the greatest respect we can show them is the respect of distance. We must leave them alone.